Hello, PTG fam. Welcome to the show. Play the Game is brought to you by G2 Paintball. G2 Paintball is a paintball athletics company designed to help you become the best paintball athlete by learning and understanding the types of moves that we make as top level players. Huge shout out to G2 Paintball and BKI. They're going to be in Arizona at the end of the month, January 30th and the 31st. If you still haven't signed up, there's still time. There's a couple spots available. So do that by going to paintballcombine.com and get signed up for that. Can't say enough good things about G2 Paintball. Rusty Glaze and Victor Gamboa. It was started by Victor Gamboa, and he brought in one of the greatest coaches in the world, Rusty Glaze, to help him out and get this paintball company off the ground and help paintball players train to maximize their performance on the field and performance off the field, because you're going to feel great when you're doing all these types of exercises and putting your body through the types of exercises that you need to just feel good and perform well on the paintball field. It's used by Dynasty. We used it before World Cup. It worked spectacularly. A lot of the guys were pretty gassed after doing these exercises, and we're pushing paintball players to become better athletes and go pro. Or if you don't go pro, to at least take those next steps, move up the ranks, or just be a better paintball player at your local field. You can head over to g2paintball.com. Check out everything they have going on over there. If you use code PLAYTHEGAME, you will get 10% off, and they have a lot of cool merch and things going on in the website. So go check that out at g2paintball.com and stay posted for upcoming dates for G2. I know that we will be having some new dates coming onto the landscape soon, so keep your ears open for that. And thank you, G2, for everything you're doing for paintball. This episode is brought to you by Heal Brand CBD Co. Powerhouse. They are a CBD powerhouse in the landscape, and we are so excited to be partnered with these guys. They're moving and shaking in the paintball industry, and in 2021 you can expect to see them at some NXL events. They're going to be making a big push into the paintball industry and hoping to help you guys all heal out there and take care of your muscles and your body with these CBD products. They're helping people heal, and that's why they call themselves Heal Brand, and we're stoked to help them do that as well. They have something really cool called Nano Technology, and it is taking that raw hemp oil and putting it through an additional refinement process to break up the large CBD particle into microscopic greatness. That way, that particle can more easily move through the cell wall and get into your system quicker. Normal CBD takes quite some time before it actually starts to get into the system and you can feel the effects, whereas this nano CBD takes effect almost immediately and is able to pass through those cell walls and get into the system with exceptional rate. They have some amazing products like a Nano Amp Energy Shot, a Nano Knockout Sleep Aid, which is absolutely amazing. Both of them are. If you want to pep it up in the morning with the Energy Shot, or you want to get that quality sleep, use that Knockout Sleep Aid. It is really something special there. They have something for your pets as well, CBD for the pets, cool down creams for your muscles. As athletes, we definitely need that. And everyone deserves the opportunity to heal. Heal Brand wants to help you accomplish that mission, and we are trying to heal the world with them. If you head over to healbrand.com, HEALBRAND.com, use code PLAYTHEGAME, you will get 10% off. And a huge shout out to Heal Brand. Thank you for everything that you're doing for Play the Game podcast and in the paintball community as a whole. We are brought to you by Transfuse. Huge shout out to Transfuse. Absolutely love Steven, everybody over there at Transfuse, Trans Labs, everything that they're doing in the paintball community, and for just people in general trying to live a healthier life. You can definitely expect to see Transfuse at all the 2021 events, and going to be making a big push. They have a nootropics that's going to be coming onto the scene here shortly, a brain booster. We actually got to kind of beta test it at World Cup. Obviously, it worked out pretty good because we were able to get that win out there, and it really felt good playing and having that nootropics on our side. So Transfuse, for those of you who don't know, is a premium rapid hydration multiplier. It is designed scientifically to replenish you at the cellular level, and they really care about the ingredients. It's so important to me. Anything that Marcelo or myself use has to have good ingredients, and they are mindful of that. It combats dehydration, mental exhaustion, supports your immune system, and is also a pretty sweet hangover remedy if you ever need a little help. If you've had a couple too many beverages, Transfuse work spectacularly in that regard as well. It's packed full of zinc, which is an essential vitamin in regulating immunity, and it improves brain function and can help with treating the common cold. Also has vitamin B6 to help lower cholesterol, boost brain function as well, and just makes you feel really good. It has sodium, potassium, choline, 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C, and is used by everyone under the sun. Festival goers, athletes, first responders, people trying to prevent the cold or recovering from the cold are all using this product. And it's so important during the landscape that we live in right now with COVID and everything going on. We've got to take care of ourselves, and you've got to boost that immune system, and Transfuse can help you do that. It's like Gatorade, Pedialyte, coconut water, emergency, all mixed together and created this hydration monster that they called Transfuse. If you want to check it out, you can head over to translabs.com. That's TRANZLABS.com. Use code PLAYTHEGAME, you get 10% off. In addition, if you sign up for a monthly subscription of Transfuse, you will also get another 10% off. So you could theoretically take advantage of 20% off on Transfuse products. Head over to translabs.com. Use that code PLAYTHEGAME and support the show and support paintball. Thank you so much, Transfuse, for everything you guys are doing. We appreciate it immensely. Today, we have none other than Bea Paxson joining us, one of the most prolific woman paintball players and just a huge pioneer in the paintball landscape for women's paintball players and just paintball players as a whole. She is amazing, has done so much amazing work in the community, and has a very successful program called Destiny Paintball that provides leagues and just great opportunities for paintball players all over the nation and beyond. They are doing spectacular work, and it's all through Bea Paxson and her husband Mike Paxson, who we had on the show recently as well. So it's really cool to hear the full spectrum of what they're involved in.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Bea Youngs Paxson, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Absolute dominator in the paintball world, someone who has accomplished more than most in this sport. We are so incredibly excited to have you on and talk about your experience in the game and all the greatness that you've brought to our sport.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I remember when you both were shorter than me. So we've been around a long time, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been having fun. We've been playing this game a lot.
Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you are one of the most prolific women's paintball players and paintball players, in my opinion, just in general. Everything that you've brought to the game, to the community, and just to humankind. I mean, you're just a great person, and the paintball community is so fortunate to have you in it. And you do so much in so many ways, which we're going to dig into. But first of all, thank you for all of that.
Thank you too. I appreciate the recognition. That's important to kind of hear that, especially from both of you guys. So it's been a lot of fun to see your growth. And I love how you've passed it forward and actually gave it back to us OG players, where you're inspiring us, and that's why we continue. So
Full
kudos
circle.
to you guys too.
That was a big
All
inspiration for the show, you know, is telling the stories of really just paintball. Because as you know, we've had many different, you know, iterations of whether it's Go Sports or Paintball Access or, you know, the storytelling side of the game. And some of the stories seem to get lost, especially of the OGs. And you guys are the reason we're here doing what we're doing, you know?
You make a very good point. It does get kind of lost because we used to refer to all the magazines. I mean, there were so many of them in the early 2000s. And then the advent of the internet really kind of killed that. But I think, you make a very good point. And so hopefully we can kind of change things around through people like yourselves that are telling the stories.
Totally.
It's interesting how like the interweb has not only brought paintball to new areas, but it's also like devastated areas as well, you know? Because print magazine, and then obviously the economy and all that stuff that happened as well. all was kind of happening at the same time, but it's changed the entire landscape of how we view paintball and receive it all.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think right around 2008, we kind of started to see that because again, the economy really took a hit in our
Yeah.
country. And then now we only really see what paintball.media, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe Faceful is doing some stuff, and you guys can attest to that better than I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe we'll see a comeback. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully. Yeah, I love the print magazines. I actually have a guy from, I think, like Sweden. Shout out to him. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. He's sending me an awesome magazine with Kenny Rosenberg on the front, and they did like a write-up on me. So I'm stoked to get that soon.
Oh, tight.
Oh, I have a slew in the closet too. I should try to look for some of you guys and send it to you because I have like copies.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
No
I was going
way.
to say, I mean, you basically wrote and did photography for a ton of these different high-profile magazines, Faceful, Paint Magazine. Was it Paintball to Extremes as well? I honestly, I think it would be easier to talk about the magazines you didn't write for and give articles about.
I think I've actually written for every single paintball magazine imaginable.
Wow.
So just to kind of give you a little background, I did go to the University of Florida, and then
shout out.
That's awesome.
To Florida State University, right?
There we go. Hey, in the YouTube, she's showing you guys the degrees. She got degrees on the walls. She's not.
I did it, guys. My dad used to say, "B, just get that piece of paper. Just get that piece of paper,
and then get your paper."
Yeah. So yeah, and so I actually studied human development. Like human resource development is my degree, and so I feel like I'm pretty special in terms of being able to interact with people and understand and how to kind of communicate to people as well. And so writing, I didn't really ever consider myself a writer until paintball.com. It had asked me to be a blogger for them back in the day. And so that's kind of where it all started. Gotcha. And then of course, with John Amadea, Josh Silverman, two of my very good friends, gave me an opportunity to write for, Paintball to Extremes. Yeah. So I had my own column, and then eventually there's a long story, but eventually I then became an editor-in-chief at Paintball Sports magazine out of New York. So that was like, wow. I mean, okay, I will do that, even though that is not my educational background.
Totally. That's kind of life though, right?
It is. It is. And so, and so storytelling is super important. And I think a lot of us really need to start thinking outside the box, you know, when it comes to like these teams that are interested in sponsorship. Like you kind of have to give your manufacturers that make all this product a reason why you stand out more so than other teams, you know, besides just winning and being a podium team.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so many layers, right, to the whole paradigm of paintball. And especially, you know, there's teams that want to climb the ranks and they want to get sponsored and they want to do really well. But there's so much more that goes into that, you know, ball of wax.
Yeah. And I literally was super poor when I first started playing paintball. Thank God for Tammy and Todd Adamson. Tammy actually was like, hey, you want to come play on my paintball team? And I'm thinking woods ball. I'm thinking military garb. And I was like, no, although I was interested at one point, I wanted to actually go into the Air Force. I was graduating from the University of Florida, and I was standing in front of the ROTC office. Whoa. And I was looking into going into officer candidate school. But my dad is like my everything. He was my best friend. I wanted to make him happy. So when he passed away, I felt like half of me died, you know. So that's a whole other story in and of itself.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
But the paintball stuff, I couldn't afford it, you know. And so I started to kind of think about ways of which I could apply some of my entertainment background and my education background into promoting some of these products that I wanted to get a hold of. And so thank God for Graham Easton back in the day with Smart Parts. He was actually one of my very first fans, if you will. And he really went to bat for me, and I ended up getting hooked up with them. Then Chuck Hench came along. That's another name from Dynasty. You guys all know.
Chuck's huge. What year did the Smart Parts deal? Like, at what time was that?
That was around 2000. Tammy introduced it to me in 1999. I thought it was all militant like. And again,
Yeah.
I thought, oh yeah, but she's like, no, you got to come to my field.
Real
Takes me to extreme rage.
Hey, real
shows
quick,
me the
B.
inflatable bunkers. So yes, sorry, Marcella.
No. I apologize for interrupting. So was this your first exposure with paintball? Tammy asking you, so you were friends with Tammy before you knew about paintball. You were friends with the Adamsons.
Yes,
No
I was.
way. Okay, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I grew up in the same middle school and high school with Tammy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Tammy and I weren't.
Okay, all right.
Yep, and we always knew of each other. We saw each other in passing in the hallways of school.
That's awesome.
But yeah, right? Crazy. And then Todd, back in the day, I wasn't really impressed with him because Tammy's like this gorgeous, beautiful, hot body, right? And back then, Todd was like this kind of chubby dude, you know, and I'm like, really, Tammy? Really? You know? Sorry, Todd, but you look really good now.
Yeah, Todd's crushing it.
Totally.
Todd's crushing it.
Yeah.
He is.
And I used to not really get along with Todd.
Tammy was playing
well.
the long game.
Tammy was playing the long game. And they love each other so much. They're such a good couple.
God bless them.
God bless them. Yes, yes. And I've seen it all. I've lived at their house practically, and she's adopted my children. She actually loves my kids more than she loves me. So yeah. But yeah, so Tammy and I actually met on became better friends, I should say.
Yeah.
We were in a single A ball club called the Miracle. They were the single A ball club for the Minnesota Twins. And in order to try to get people to come to the games, they had cheerleaders in between the innings. And I have a dancing background as well.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And her and I, we would dance to AC/DC, in between games. And just like, we really did have a pretty good crowd. Yeah. So those are just kind of the amazing things that kind of connect us all together. And then again, Tammy was getting married to Todd, and she wanted to do this paintball team. And she's like, let's make a badass team of gorgeous girls, but we also are winners too. And we pulled it off. Like, we actually did win events with people like Keely Watson, Lisa Harvey, you know, and the list goes on and on. There's so many gals that actually went through the Femme Fatale program.
That's right. I remember that. That was like when I was just a baby. I was like 13, 14 years old at this time.
Yes. Yeah. And so we did so much doing that. And then Maxim magazine, even, I don't know if you remember Chris Phoenix and the Maxim Online, and how the girls actually got into the magazine. I did some of the online stuff, but I didn't quite make it into the magazine, which is cool. I'm all good with that. But yeah, so
paintball was huge at this time too.
So huge. There were so many
blowing up.
It was blowing up. There's so many ways and avenues that we were cross marketing. Yeah. And I think that was super important. But Tammy took me to California after we did some events and whatnot. And I was super insecure about my playing skills. Tried it out for the family. That's when Patrick Sporer was on the team. And I'll never forget it. We were at SE Village, and I was playing on this hyperball field of theirs. And he's screaming at me like, B, move forward. And I was like, I don't see nothing, you know? And then he jumps in the same bunker with me, and he's like picking off all these people. I'm like, well, I'm a dum-dum, you know? Guess I didn't make this squad.
Yeah. That's right. Dude, paintball is crazy. Paintball is a crazy game. And thank God we have people like you, because what you've brought to the game with just the community aspect as well is unprecedented with what you've done, like today, even in this very moment with Destiny Paintball. And it's funny that it started with Miracle. You were saying something about Miracle. So those kind of, go hand in hand.
It is a miracle. Like if you would have asked me, you know, in high school, like, hey, your future is going to be a paintball person, you know, and I would have been like, yeah, right. You know, there is no way. I wanted to be like J-Lo and be a fly girl, you know, sing backup for Madonna.
Yeah. There we
Sounds
go.
pretty lit too.
I love that.
I was that close to doing it. And again, you know, thinking about when I moved to California, eventually, I was actually looking into going into the music industry. So I needed a job to help me kind of, you know, make that happen. And so I interviewed with Chuck Hench and Rodney Squires to work as their promotions coordinator at JTUSA. And that was right around the same time when JT was being sold to Brass Eagle. And John Gregory passed that piece of paper across the table and said, okay, will you buy JT for this much money, thinking that they would never accept it. And sure enough, Brass Eagle took it. So, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so thank God I had that chance to work in there. And then in JT, we did like Warp's tour. Do you remember that when Weasel was on that? Chris Lasoya, Rocky Cagnoni. We were meeting people like Travis Pastrana, Ryan Sheckler. Just JT did such an outstanding job at that point.
That was an insane collaboration. Could you elaborate on that a little bit about exactly for the listeners, like what you guys were doing on that tour? And
yeah. So what we were thinking is, we wanted to get paintball markers in the hands of that group that likes to go to Warped Tour events. And so they're like extreme people, like, and so we would set up like NSYNC Barbie dolls at the end of a shooting, thing, and they would just pick off all the NSYNC guys and Britney Spears, and they were just loving the markers that we had. And so that was our hope, is that they were gonna, give paintball a shot. And I think it was very effective. And so on top of that, like, we did concerts too. Rocky Cagnoni would get up on the stage with whatever band, and he would announce them coming up on the stages.
It's crazy.
So crazy, right? And other things that JT would do is go to like motocross events, and they would throw again Rocky on a motorcycle, him trying to ride a bike around a,
Go Rocky, go
Rocky,
go.
Ice, trying to like keep up with each other, you know what I'm saying?
He's the best ever. That's one of my favorite humans of all time, Rocky Cagnoni.
Well, he was the one who did it for me. I didn't know the guy, and I met him at Extreme Rage. He was on a golf cart driving by, and he's like, "Hey, ladies," you could hear him say that. But him and Chris Lasoya, they're our original, right, paintball rock stars that's inspired even Oliver Lang. Really aspire to be.
That's what we just had Chris on. He was the last episode, and I was trying to drive that home. Like, you guys do not understand. This guy was a rock star. Like, these guys were crazy. Yeah.
And he still lives that life, he's spectacular. And so we owe him a great debt of thanks, of course.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and so, I did almost make it. I was in the recording studio, still working at JT, and then doing my music gig. But the guy at the time that was my manager, he got arrested by the FBI. Oh no! Came to the house, knocked on the door. I answered the door like, "Hi, hello, FBI," and they're like, "You're gonna call him right now, and you're gonna say that his son fell down on his bike, and you're gonna make him come, and he's gonna pull into the garage." Like, they're giving me the play-by-play.
Whoa!
And I'm like, "Whatever y'all want." Okay.
Dude, when the suits roll up, you say, "Yes, sir."
Yeah, and so that was the moment of truth for me. Like, you know what? I think God wants me to apply all of my talents into the paintball scene. And so I rode the wave right at the right moment. And then I met Mike Paxson, and he had such a great way of teaching. Like, it made sense to me. And so Todd Adamson and Tammy taught me a lot. They gave me a really great foundation. But then after the Smart Parts thing, and I did that poster, I don't know if you guys remember that poster. But that really put me on the map. But then I started to kind of feel like people only thought that I was getting product because of that poster. But I actually really wanted to play really good paintball too.
Exactly.
And so,
well, not only are you beautiful, but you're a genius too. You got the degrees on the wall to show it. And that's probably why you're really good at paintball, to be honest with you, because you have to crunch the numbers in this game. You have to be thinking on your toes and doing a little bit of drop the 2 and carry the 1, to make sure that you can figure things out there.
Yeah. And it needed to be in layman terms for me. It had to be very simplistic, because even though I have the paper to prove it, I literally had to study it very, very hard. Whereas Mike is a very natural athlete. Like, he's born to play paintball, just like you two are. But for me, I was like, I'm just going to shoot whatever I see, until he's like, no, you're actually going to help the guy in front of you shoot that guy,
That's right.
So, so kind of understanding those concepts and having a good mentor like him really enabled me to broaden my horizon and really see the bigger picture.
Was this kind of in the Bushwhacker days? Was this when Mike was with the Bushwhackers? And then and they formed the Lady Bushwhacker team?
Yeah, so I wasn't part of the Lady Bushwhacker. I was actually, again, first female
There we go.
Bushwhacker. Thank you very much. Thank you,
There we go.
Bobby
Just
Gilmore.
bypass the
Like
whole
that.
lady
Yeah.
team.
Well, and I had an outstanding voice because again, I
Yeah.
sing and I know
Right.
how to push it out. And
That's
I
so
don't-
important. That is so
Yes.
important. Paintball
So-
players don't think about that, but that's huge.
I would sing too.
Yeah.
I'd be like, back right. Like,
So you
super
started
dumb.
at Ryan Moorhead. Learn from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, ridiculousness.
100%, yeah.
Yes, I will claim that, Ryan Moorhead. And
Love
he's my
it.
favorite paintball player. Him
He's the
and Tim
best,
Rochester,
too.
by the way, were my two
Yeah.
faves.
I know.
Amazing
Tim
people.
still holds so much space in all of our hearts. We
He's
love
on all
him.
our jerseys. I
That's-
have
yeah, of
over
course.
hundreds of jerseys that we're
Yeah.
about to make, and he's on every
Love that.
single one of them from this
We-
point forward.
We
until the
won
end of
World
time.
Cup with him right on our shoulders. We
We
had
all
his
should.
number right on our shoulders. Yeah.
Yeah,
God bless him.
off
Yeah.
on a tangent. He to me was our paintball savior. I think
Yeah.
that he doing the the
ICC. Yep.
Yeah.
He really brought back the love, I think, for a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
guys that didn't want to play anymore.
Mhm.
Very
And now
true.
look how popular the mech
Yep.
scene is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you, Tim. I'm gonna
Yeah,
cry.
Tim,
I
absolutely.
miss him.
It's
What he
so
did was
grassroots.
monumental
Yeah.
for the game.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. So yeah, so JTUSA was awesome. And then I ended up kind of doing my own thing after that. I resigned from that position so we could focus on our traveling. And so much like what you guys are doing on a regular basis, because back then we
Yeah.
didn't have children,
Yeah.
we were traveling everywhere. I think we've been to every single state that matters and
Yeah.
every single country that matters.
There we
And
go.
been to Australia 8 times out of the 7 of the 8 times I've been to Australia is because of paintball.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I
I
was
mean,
was
I'm
there
surprised
for,
you went one without wasn't for paintball. What were you doing?
yeah, that was because I was working in corporate America wearing like stockings and,
There we go.
you know,
Okay.
with chauvinistic pigs. But anyway,
Oh boy.
I was like, I'm
Wow.
out. Corporate America is not for me. I'm about to
Yeah.
pump
It's a
somebody
hard
out. you know?
place. It's a tough place.
It's a whole ball there. But I'm interested to go to all of these countries that, that are kind of off the map,
Yes.
like
Yes.
the ones,
Absolutely.
the ones that fall in between where you're like, what is this place? And then, there's the world is much larger than I think we all can even fathom.
I totally agree. I think
Yeah.
one of the ones that are like a gem is the Kuala Lumpur event, the World Cup Asia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, they know how to.
Langkawi, one of the most
Right?
amazing places I've ever been. Just the whole event, the vibe, the culture, everything about that event, that place is amazing.
Yeah, it's they treat you like royalty, every
Yeah.
single one.
Mhm.
I got some stories on that too. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so after, a lot of firsts, like I mentioned, and I'm so thankful that, Mike and I were very good at balancing each other, and so
Mhm.
granted, him and I are on 2 opposite sides of the spectrum, and that whole opposite attract thing does apply in our relationship.
sure.
But we definitely helped each other along, that's for sure.
You got to have that. Like, if you have 2 people that are exactly the same, it's just like, I don't know, it's a little boring maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like he's
Because-
into hunting,
Yeah.
fishing,
yeah.
doing all that stuff, and I'm like, oh no, save the animals. Let me pray over it. Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Jesus, for this chicken
Oh.
we just killed.
That's so beautiful though. I love that. There you go. And giving
Yeah.
thanks and gratitude. And you guys are also getting nutrition, it sounds like, from it.
Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
Love that.
And then yeah, and then I'm into like music and going to like musical theater things, and he's like, he falls asleep every time. He's like so different from like,
What's
what
your
we
favorite
do.
musical theater act?
I actually did Hello Dolly here locally in Hamilton, Montana. And we
You
have
did?
a little, yeah, I'm an
What?
actress. I'm
Whoa.
a singer.
Wow.
So
Again,
yeah,
like I said, it's easier for us to talk about what B doesn't and
can't
cannot
do.
do. That's the easier thing to do. She's everywhere. done
Yeah,
it all.
and she's being
Yep.
super modest because she literally holds the firsts on like every woman's accomplishment in paintball.
We'll share that on the internet later. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
yeah.
I need to get my website back up and running.
Yeah,
Some Chinese
exactly.
company stole my beyoungs.com site.
Oh,
I
no.
finally got it
No
back.
way.
You
Yeah.
did. She
I
got
didn't
it
even
back.
know. I got it back. Thank you, God. But yeah,
There we go.
it was, I don't know, some Chinese company, and they did something with it. And then finally I
Yeah.
looked it up and I was like, oh, it's available.
Cool.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well,
I'll put
hey,
it up.
be on the lookout for that, everybody. That's breaking news.
Yeah.
There we go. Love it.
Anyway, where were we? I think I left off at Mike and I travel in the world,
Yeah.
and then Destiny. So let's talk about Destiny.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All
That's
right.
the cornerstone right here.
So
Destiny.
in 2004, there were a group of girls coming from the East Coast. Some of them were also in California, like Shawnette Taylor. I don't know if you remember her from the Matrix cover magazine with Yosh Rao.
Yep.
And they did that mock-up of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Well, she was on our team, and so was Mona Hijazi.
Oh,
And those two girls, I can't think of the other girl's name right now. Again, as I age, I start losing stuff. But yeah, those two girls were looking for a team, and so we kind of collaborated together.
Nice.
And I helped bring all the sponsorship, and then we started talking about the name. Well, at first it was going to be Venus Ejecta, and that was something that Mona had come up with, and I'm
That's
like,
powerful.
yeah. And I was like, I don't know, because it kind of sounds, I don't know, it didn't sound good to me. And then Mike
sounds a little provocative.
It does.
And
Thank you.
You've always kind of prided yourself on not using that to your advantage, even though you could. You know, that you've always done such a great job, which I think is a reason you're the best role model for female paintball players, or really, you know, female athletes in general. It's, you know how it is. Look, as much as we, you know, try to deny it, it's difficult sometimes for a female to come up in a man's sport. You know, in a sport that is predominantly male, you have to treat yourself accordingly. You have to, you know, walk the right path, and you have done that. You've paved the way for the right way to do that and be taken seriously by your peers.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And, you know, granted, again, that poster kind of was somewhat provocative, and it was the jersey in front of my naked body, and that mindset, you're like, oh snap, like she's naked behind that jersey. But, you know, but it's like my dad.
That was different nothing. When you do Have everything. You seen today? Today.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man.
It's different when you do everything else to back it up, though, right?
Right, right.
You're out there practicing as hard as everybody else. You're doing all of the right things. You've got the intellect to build your own brand, build your own business. There's a difference, right? Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
Not at all. And so, you know, I sent it to my dad back in 2002 when that was about to be released. And my dad's like, well, it's better than you being in a bikini. You know, and so even, you know, asking my brother, who's like 3 years difference, he's younger than I am. And he also said the same thing. Is like, no, it's classy. It's cool. Like, you know, don't worry about that.
It was groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking. Mike hated it.
I'll bet.
Mike's like, yes.
Mike, you got it. That was a big moment. He should have been like, that's my girl. Like, come on, Mike. Let's
you know,
go.
He's like, no, that's
dude. I love Mike.
Hates it.
Mike is the greatest. We had him on recently too, and we had the best time shooting it with him.
Oh, B knows. B had to set everything up for him. Mike.
Yeah. Thank God for again the collaboration between us two. We give each other balance. Listen, I'm ready for the apocalypse, because if something happens, Mike Paxson's going to be in the front, just with the shotgun shooting zombies off the porch. You know, I'm just going to be inside, like, cool, we're good.
I'm just hoping I can make it to Montana in time.
Yeah.
Then we're good. We're good.
You can expect the Harmon family and the Margot family to be headed that way.
Yeah, we have 11 acres. There's plenty of room. There's plenty. And then next door to us, there's like another 200.
All right, I'm gonna start driving. I'm gonna start driving now.
Okay, I'm gonna plan the event.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a whirl. Like, I miss traveling with Mike, and we got married back in 2007.
Awesome.
We used to be at clinics, and I would make children run up to him and said, hey, Mr. Paxson, are you going to ask B to marry you?
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious.
Make children go run up to him. And then he'd look straight at me and goes, when she stops asking, you know?
You guys are the best.
Well, apparently it was good luck, because as soon as you guys got married, we went on to win the World Championship, the World Cup with the LA Ironmen, you know,
That's right.
2 years in a row. So, I mean, hey, Mike maybe should have done it a little sooner if he wanted his career to take off.
What a great time. That 2007 and 8 were that I think was actually the top of the hill time, right?
That was a really fun time.
Man, you and Oliver and Paxson and Nikki Cuba and Mr. U and Mr. Wing and
Eco. I mean, honestly, Todd Adamson was there in like 06. I don't remember.
06. If it wasn't for Todd Adamson, like Michael shared with you, again, thank you, Tammy and Todd, and then Mike coming into my life, and then say, hey, this is my boyfriend. Maybe you can help him out, And I love the fact that he played with Ron, but I think Paxson would have been with the Bushwhackers until the very end.
I agree.
Had not, and some of us kind of encouraged him, like, hey, Pax, I think you should take this deal.
Yes.
And so again, Todd literally did call Ron and said, hey man, this is what's up. This is what's going to happen. And so sorry,
That's exactly how Mike explained it. Yeah. That's so
exactly. Yeah.
They told him.
And then Ron was good about it. Ron was like, you know what, buddy? Yes, you should go and do that.
And supported him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
So Bea, sorry, I did kind of interrupt, but you were talking about naming the team at first.
Yeah. So then Mike Paxson
Venus
goes,
Ejecta.
Yes. And so he goes, you should name it Destiny. Because I kind of kept talking, isn't it cool that we kind of came together and it was like fate, like, God put us together, right? And so I'm like the Christianese, and he's like, whatever, B, he don't go to church. He believes, but he's like, hunting's my church.
Yeah,
but,
you can find me on the mountaintops.
Yeah, praying to Jesus for the elk. But yeah, so he goes, why don't you just call it Destiny then, right? And then somebody goes, well, it sounds too much like Dynasty. And I go, well, who doesn't want to be? I was like, who doesn't want to be like Dynasty?
That's perfect.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so it's been amazing. Like, we've done so many cool things. We started out as an all-female team. We had 8 girls on the roster, but we just couldn't make the tapes fast enough. And had we had some of the fast girls nowadays, we probably could have been as successful. However, we picked up a couple of guys, but we were still known as a primarily female team, and our objective again was to empower women to play paintball.
Yeah.
And so we did that for many years until about 2007, when again the whole idea was, let's bring the all-female idea back again. And so we did that in 2007 and 2008, and my dad passed away at the end of 2008, and then I got pregnant. So then Destiny went on a sabbatical for a little bit. But it was a much needed sabbatical because we came back even stronger with Kat Secor coming back, Lynn Churong in 2012. And they actually ran the team for a good 2-3 years. And again, put Destiny on the map. Thank you, Lynn and Kat. I'll always be thankful for you two. And
that was an amazing player too at the time. She was extremely athletic. She took the game so seriously, just a true student of the game. She did really well.
She definitely could have hung in the pro scene. And I think because with her mentality now and, with her mindset, she could have survived. But because of, some of the bodybuilding that she's doing, and she's got some ankle issues and, and so I've asked her to come back time and time again, her and Katie Kelly.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're listening, please come back, play some paintball.
Please. I know I probably can talk Katie into it, but I think Kat's like, I'm good.
Yeah. How's Kat doing? I don't even know what's going on with Kat anymore.
Successful as ever. Her and her mom are kicking butt in the nutrition field. Her mom is, and what do you call those nurses that are beyond just being a nurse? She's like top of the level.
Like a BA nurse.
RN. Yes. Okay. Yes. And so she's just killing it, doing that stuff and just changing lives and improving people's wellness. And so, that's what Kat's doing now. Look her up. Yeah. Kat Secor.
Absolutely. On Instagram. There we go.
But and so now Destiny's doing this other shift where we're still focused on our objective to empower more women to play. But I've had so many people ask me like, hey, B, do you have a team I can play on? Or do you know if so-and-so needs a player? And all of a sudden it became like, I know a bunch of guys in Florida. I know a bunch of guys in California. I know a bunch of guys in the Midwest, Northeast, Texas, et cetera, et cetera. And so now we have all these different regional teams that are running the Destiny flag. So we went from a team of 8 people promoting our sponsors to an organization of almost 150 people now.
Wow.
Promoting Destiny and promoting all of our sponsors too.
So I know there's tons of people out there that are like, how can I do that? What would be some great advice that you could give? Obviously, it's super organic. You guys have hearts of gold. Okay. You guys have hearts of gold. And that is, I think, everything right there. But what are some tips and tricks and maybe some advice you can give to our listeners on how to grow something like that?
Well, again, I feel like, listening to podcasts like this, right? And then also getting your book, Marcelo, probably
Yeah.
has some
Thank
really
you.
good tips
Yeah,
in that
thank
too.
you.
Yep.
But building something where you can learn from the Destiny umbrella, and a service that we provide is to how to tell a rookie team how to put it together. And so World Cup is like a goal event that most people would love to attend. And so part of what our service is to say, okay, this is what you do when you show up. You go to registration, you go get your paint tickets, and here's some people that you need to go get your product from, and blah, 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 blah. Or even like trying to prepare them prior to the event to make sure they have all their ducks in a row before they show up at said event.
Yeah.
And so whenever like things go wrong, I always get a phone call from the leaders of these teams saying, hey, we have this kind of drama that's taken place. What can you tell us on how to squelch it? And 9 times out of 10, we've dealt with that, in our past
Yeah,
where we
of
have
course.
team drama. Well, this
That's
is what
right.
we did. And I think this might be helpful to you guys too. And so far that's been extremely helpful. The other thing is opening these doors that they wouldn't otherwise be able to open had they not had that sphere of influence or connection. So like, hey, B, we're trying to like tell Planet Eclipse that we're doing this side project, but we keep sending the emails and nobody's responding. And so we try to become that voice for them and say, hey, you can vouch for these guys.
Yes.
And this is what they're doing. And then yada, yada, yada.
You do have to have a vouch. That's very important.
Right. And then even paperwork, like we literally have been kind of doing this science project now for the last year and a half. And the positive thing that came out of COVID is it helped us slow down in order for us to really focus on how to make it better. And so now we're trying to work on getting this website kind of like a project management sort of website where we kind of have everybody be on the same page. And so it also is dependent on the area you're from, because people in New York act much differently than the people in California. And so we try to kind of mold it, and we have a base foundation or a piece of paper that says, here are the rules and expectations, but it may be a little bit different. So we have to tweak it for said team.
Of
and
course.
So that to me is like having those documents that can just make sure that people are wearing the right stuff, you know, and saying the right things and going to the right events. And behaving appropriately. That's some of the things that we're trying to create through the Destiny program. But what I recommend for other teams too is to really focus on that. Like, what is the actual bigger picture? Instead of like, oh, we want to be a winning team. Well, obviously that's what everybody wants. But nowadays you really have to do things that are different than what everybody else is doing. Prime example is like the Ali Remembered Foundation.
They're the best.
Right. They have such a different objective. And part of their premise is to, obviously promote paintball, but also bring awareness to domestic violence.
That's right.
And so like these teams should try to adopt something that, like some teams are also bringing awareness to autism, or other teams are bringing an awareness to like female participation, and so these are some of the ways that these teams can really make an impact and go beyond just like, we want to win, and say, we have all these trophies, give us a deal. I think those teams that are also doing some of that kind of stuff is actually making customers, for the companies that are going to support them.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. I mean,
yeah,
there's nothing more important in life than those types of things. And I mean, everybody should be doing something to help. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all a part of this community here on Earth, and we gotta make sure that, the community is going to be all right, that we're all going to be,
Well, and that's part of the reason why I still stay in it. Like it's really easy for Mike and I right now to just disappear in the mountains of Montana and just ride out in the sunset with our 2 beautiful kids, but I feel like all of us have a purpose on this earth. And for us to, it's kind of selfish of us if we isolate ourselves and we don't share what we can give.
Oh, we need you. We need you.
Well, and at the end of the day, we have to help each other, right? I think as a society too, like we're missing the bigger picture here, guys. Like, I don't care if you're Christian, I don't care if you're Buddhist or any other religion or Muslim for that matter. I think the same idea is to be a good person, to help one another and just see the light, whatever light you're trying to follow.
It's so funny. I just started watching this series on Netflix. It's called The Good Place. Have you guys heard of it?
I love The Good Place.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing because it's
she says like fork,
Yeah. it's just a quick rundown. It's not necessarily about heaven or hell. It's you go to the good place or the bad place afterwards. And the guy who greets you, who, debriefs you on everything of how it's going to be in your afterlife. He's like, yeah, all the religions got it about 5-10% right. The Buddhists, the Christians, but really you build this value throughout your entire life of good actions versus bad actions. And if you have enough good actions at the end of the day, when they're all added up, you go to the good place afterwards. And
I've never seen this. I got to check it out.
You got to check it out. Yeah. Have you watched it all yet, Marcelo?
No. I'm on season 1, episode 6 right now.
Oh, it's a season. It's a season?
There's 4 seasons. They're
all
they're all like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Please watch it.
It's
okay.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's like what you guys are doing is you're giving inspiration, and people want to be like you. And so that's an important thing to leave behind. And so again, I could easily say, you know what, I'm done with the drama, you guys. Like I just had drama the other day with dealing with people that think that, well, we know what your prices are, right? Like we know what the dealer pricing is.
So go get them yourself.
Yeah,
go get them yourself then. Like what I don't understand that.
Why are you bothering me?
Go get them yourself. You can't.
And it happens. It happens a lot. Yeah.
You've spent
it's so frustrating.
You've spent an entire career building relationships to be able to offer those benefits to people.
Yeah,
and so people have they have their mind in the wrong places when they look at things that way, right? It's a very entitled kind of view of things.
Yeah, I just kind of was like, you know what, you're right. And I wish you all the best. And and again, part of why I'm doing this isn't to make money on you guys, right? Yeah. Again, my daughter eventually wants to play, and I want to actually leave behind something that she can become a young entrepreneur. And carry the torch and bring even more people into the sport.
Well, you're one of the biggest pioneers of paintball, Bea. I mean, with that's no question about it. You hold so much water in this landscape of paintball. And if people got into your to the nuts and bolts of everything that you've done, it's groundbreaking. It's unbelievable what you've done.
And again, I appreciate you saying that. And again, sometimes I start having this little devil on my shoulder, and he starts to make me feel guilty. Like, you're right. Maybe I should give you the bottom line and screw the IRS, like I'll just go bankrupt for you,
Yeah. That's hilarious.
You forget I got to pay an accountant, and I got to cover my expenses too. And
that's right.
But again, I'm trying to come up with ways to help people fulfill their dreams, because they want to live the dream life. Right. They want to be able to travel like the majority of us. And it is very possible, because now we have so many different events that you can attend. Thank God for the NXL and all the different offerings that they give. Totally. And World Cup is such a great goal, but also support your local events, and your local fields and tournaments. And
so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Destiny for me is just, trying to bring things to be a little bit more affordable, to help them understand things and get through it better. And to know that there's always going to be drama, I think those challenges only make you stronger. You just got to push through it and survive,
That's it.
That's a great life lesson.
Absolutely.
To endure.
I'm sure you add a ton of value, Bea, with offering that kind of stuff, because we do a lot of coaching, right? Whether it's in events or we go and do clinics, private clinics for teams. And the simple things that we've learned along the way that are just second nature to us, these teams don't know yet. They're not aware of, right? They whether it's keeping paint in a cooler if it's extremely hot out, or not getting paint 2 hours before your match, or making sure, that everyone's checked in. Like you said, I've had players where they didn't get their sticker and then they can't play the first match. I'm like, how did you not get your sticker? Like that's, well, there's not really, I guess, other than what you're doing, there's no like handbook for people to learn that from. So what you're offering is really valuable to it's geared more towards the newer teams, right? But that's
right.
Talk about grassroots. Like those are the teams that we want to have a good time. We don't want them to show up and have a bad time because one of their players can't play, or, they have a bad time because the paint doesn't work because they didn't know how to manage it, or whatever it might be. If we could make those experiences better for new players, they're going to stick around. They're going to want to play more.
Right. Well, and it is a lot of hand holding and me running around and, like, oh, I'll be right back. I'll get the paint tickets, or, okay, you guys need paint, and okay, I'll be right back. And so that's why you always see me like chugging between the divisional fields.
There she goes. Zero, zero,
okay, bye. You know? But yeah, so again, you can ask any one of the regional teams, you know, that exist under the Destiny umbrella, and they'll tell you that, like, yeah, B really does do all that stuff. And so I am a servant, you know, and I continue to be, and I don't think I'll ever be rich, you know, off the paintball industry because of that. And again, like even doing clinics and stuff, we're trying to, even to this day, still come up with ways for the lower income people to still be involved in paintball at some level, whether it's through like the jelly ball stuff. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
Yeah,
those are awesome.
You know, the introductory things that, you know, you can, even airsoft, God bless them. It's still kind of the same shooting sport idea. And we even thought, like, maybe we should do a collaboration with the airsofters and we'll play paintball and airsoft at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's
I love
beauty.
the gel blasters. Huge shout out to them. What they're doing. Yeah. It's
Jelly
amazing.
Ball and Tank at Tank's Paintball. You probably know him down in Texas. Big supporter of Destiny since day one. Used to work at Chronic, Zap Paintball, Archon.
And it's biodegradable too, those little things. And they're, you know, you pour water on them, they get bigger, you load them into the little gun and go have some fun.
That's right. They disintegrate, and when they're dehydrated, they just look like a little speck of dust.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's cool.
So,
yeah.
Hopefully he does well on that. And just so you know, B, you enrich so many people's lives. So I think that's the riches that you're receiving, because what you do in the lives of people is very enriching. So that, you know, maybe not monetary, but there's so much light that, like you were talking about, that you provide people, which is so valuable, you know.
And again, that's my hope, because again, I am a believer, and I do it on my deathbed. I want to feel good about what I leave behind, and I have a very guilty conscience. You know, I don't like trying to be a duper and try to like be a slime ball and pull the wool over somebody's eyes. You know, I literally am here just to pass the torch and hopefully again leave behind a legacy.
You want to go to the good place.
Sure. I do want to go to the good place. Please, I want to see my dad again.
He's in the good place. Yep, absolutely.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
And,
so
and you guys have 15 teams, is that right? Do you guys have
so every aspect of paintball we're covering, because again, back in the day, Mike and I were playing woods ball when it wasn't really cool for tournament players to play woods ball. And we would go to like the big games at Cousins Paintball, and you know, I would general on one side and he would general on the other. And Mike's super good at playing pump, and so me, Rocky, and Mike would go to Hawaii and play a 3-man pump event. And that's when we picked up Lynn Churong, you know, because she's like a pump goddess and is super good at playing that.
That's so hard. I'm the worst at pump. I just get worked at pump.
That's crazy, Tyler. You're great at just the one ball.
I know, but the damn
that's crazy.
Here's the thing. The ball, for some reason, I think I mess up and I'm too wily. The ball rolls out or it gets misplaced.
Yes, that's me too. I'm like, there's 2 balls in the damn chamber, you know.
And then
that makes sense. Yeah, it's tough.
And then
like, you try to go too fast. Yeah,
I think so, because I have like the shot lined up. I'm like, oh, got this guy, and then I just blow it and they smoke. I'm like, I'm the worst at this.
I know. And they have their own community. Shout out to PBSL. They're a pump league out in California where you guys are. And they have a PBSL Colorado, PBSL Riverside, PBSL NorCal, like, especially California, the scene's really big. But yes, so we do have like Destiny Army scenario. They go to Super Games and all the big, you know, Decay of Nations and whatevers. And then we've got like the different smaller regional teams. And I try to set it up to where each team has a field and or store. Because a big thing that a lot of manufacturers that are looking for, you know, teams to sponsor always ask, well, do you have a field or a team that you're affiliated with that we can sell product to? And so that, again, is an advice that I give some of these teams, that if you do want sponsorship, start locally, you know, start with your local field and store and ask how you can help out and volunteer and blow up bunkers and pick up trash.
Absolutely.
Start at the bottom and work your way up, and you're going to be blessed for doing that bottom stuff, you know, and make your way up the ladder.
That's how all of us, I mean, I know Marcelo and myself, we were all, you know, doing whatever we could do to clean up. I'll be snagging paintballs and be like, hey, you going to shoot those? Or there's a broken ball, you know, in there. You're like, hey, yeah, I'll clean it, you know, or whatever you can do to just play the game.
Yeah, that definitely is very humbling, to hear
Yeah.
that you started out that way. And so, and look at you guys now, you're blessed for it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then and at World Cup, I think I don't even remember now. At least at the last World Cup event, even during this COVID stuff, we still had I think 21 teams playing, whether it
Wow.
was 3-man or 5-man
Yeah.
or 10-man mounds or
Wow.
any of that. And again, all of them pretty much are leading these teams as my friends, and then they're like, hey friend, do you want to play with me and go to said event? And that's
Yeah.
again what's happened. I don't want to be infamous, because infamous went from being a paintball team and now they're creating all these other paintball teams, and they have a huge product line, and
Yeah.
Travis Lemansky's just making amazing things happen.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to do product. I still like being a service.
Yeah.
And eventually I would love to have our own annual event too, where all the Destiny teams can come together and do something fun, whether it's a big game or
Yeah.
doing something with Greg Hastings, and because he's doing that just shooting target thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, the time trials.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right,
You.
yep,
Again,
yep.
old lady here, blame small.
The time trials.
Sorry, Greg.
Yeah. Sorry, Greg. Speaking of Greg Hastings, you were
Yeah.
in one of the very first, well, I think it was
I
the
was.
paintball video game ever from Greg Hastings.
Yes, and Keely's in there too. I don't know if she's in there anymore, but one thing I'm very proud of is that I'm still around.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like all the girls that were really playing back in the day, they're not really around anymore, and so I take a lot of pride in that. I'm like very grateful.
Totally.
The consistency, I should say.
Well, again, it's because
That's right.
you did so many things and continue to do so many things in the game. It wasn't just playing. It wasn't just being the face of a company. It wasn't just right. It was everything. You really maximized opportunity just by going out and doing it, and being valuable to so many companies and teams.
A lot of what I see even you guys doing, because I don't think you're married or have kids yet, right, guys? Or do you have girlfriends?
Tyler's got both. He's got.
Yeah. I'm in there.
Really?
I got 2 sons and a beautiful wife. Yes, ma'am.
Holy Malanta. And then Marcelo, though, I'm thinking, whenever I think, I wonder what Marcelo's doing. I always think that you're on the computer doing something, writing something, planning something, calling somebody, and that was Mike and I back in the day. Mike, maybe not so much. He was playing Xbox, but I was the one that was like writing the article. And then I would go, Mike, I'm working on this article. Like, I'm going to write the outline, and then can you help me fill in the blanks, So he'd be like, all right, well, write this and say that, and so again, before we had kids and before our marriage and owning a house or whatever, that's what we were doing, and so I worked super hard because I didn't want to be like, oh, that's just that girl because she thinks she's hot.
Right.
And that guy thinks she's hot too, so that's why she's getting that paintball gun. So
Totally.
But listen, no disrespect to the girls that are doing that. Like I've had debates with others about, well, what do you think of the paintball pinups, and what do you think of Carla having the little like Brazilian panties on? And I'm like, more power to you. If that makes you happy and you feel righteous, then more power to you. Like
it's not hurting anybody,
Not at all. It doesn't offend me.
Yeah.
I think it only offends some people because they might just be insecure with themselves.
Totally.
Like, trust
a little
me.
bit of jealousy.
Yeah, if I had a body like that, I'd probably walk around a little bit more in a bikini.
Yeah, it's all about self-empowerment and making yourself happy. At the end of the day,
serve a different purpose. There's so many different people that we can cater to. And there are people that do love to look at beautiful people. So let them look, if it
exposes paintball in the process, like I'm cool with it,
Totally.
Sweet. Yep. Keep going, girl.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah. And again, I've even talked to paintball pinups about like, maybe I should do another Be Aggressive poster, but maybe something in the gym though, with some Spanx on.
Go get it, girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But again, it's just, if you don't like what somebody's doing, then don't look, don't worry about what they're, Again, they have such a huge followership. And again, they're bringing people to recognize and bring awareness to the fact that tournament paintball exists. And so again,
I am a huge fan of getting more women to play paintball. I think it's the most amazing sport for women to play, because it's not like a traditional sport where you have to be super tall or super muscular, super big or anything. Like it's all about equal opportunity, and the fields are set up for equal opportunity. And there's just such a great landscape for women to come in and dominate and even kick the guys' butts. And I could see that happening someday, and I hope it does personally.
Well, it's amazing, and again, miraculous too, that word again, because not a majority, but a lot of these teams that are running regionally are all led by women.
Awesome.
And I didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
It just happened. And
Yeah.
so the co-ed concept is really what we push. You know, I think the co-ed objective is important. Now, Tom Cole did call me before they added the ladies division to the NXL. And he asked me what I thought about that. And I said, you know, I don't really like a ladies division. I think because it kind of segregates us and we take a step backwards when a majority of us that are playing paintball is because we want to be against the guys and be with the guys.
Yeah.
And so
I want to pro. Yeah.
I don't think he like.
He was like, nah. I want to have a girl pro player on Dynasty. I want to see her. I want to see her come into the game and dominate and put people on their butts just like we do. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, look at what is it, Danica Patrick? Yeah, Danica Patrick. She's in there, NASCAR. That's one of the coolest stories, just because you don't see it. She just went in there, dominated a predominantly male sport. And it's amazing. And that opportunity is here in paintball for sure. Over in Europe, it was done quite a bit. You know, actually, I want to ask you about that, B, because it seems like the US was kind of the last to catch up with women participation. And I feel like it's really grown in the last.
It has.
Maybe 5 to 7 years in the US. Maybe I'm wrong. I think you obviously have better insight than I do, but it always seemed like the last 10, 15 years, go over to Europe, it always seemed like in all the divisions, there was always a lot of females that were playing, you know? And Nicholson, I'm probably butchering her name. I feel bad. I think she stopped playing. She played for PP Arena though. She was really good. Like I hate when people say 4A girl, you're either good or you're not good at the game, right? She was really good.
You're good for a girl. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
Like she was really
Don't
good.
say that, guys. Don't say
that.
Don't say that.
Totally.
You're good for a girl.
Yeah, for sure.
But so tell me about her. So what happened though? Why isn't she playing anymore?
You know, unfortunately, and I'm probably speaking out of turn. This is maybe just a rumor, but there was just politics amongst the team, you know, and I'm sure it can be hard for a woman on an all male team, you know. Unfortunately, that's the nature of human beings.
I kind of had a feeling, and the reason why I ask you that to bring it up is because I think it comes to estrogen versus testosterone.
Sure.
Right. And so it's scientifically, we do have more emotions in terms of sensitivity. Sure. And so if like Mike Paxson yells at you, you guys will probably be like, whatever, Mike, you know, but if he yells at a girl and she's probably going to cry, you know, because it's very intimidating. Sure. And Mike and I get in debates all the time, still to this day. He doesn't think that there's a girl paintballer out there yet that's ready for the pro scene. And I'm like, well, I disagree with you, Mike, you know, and again, that's okay to agree to disagree. Sure. But I think if you have the right mindset, first and foremost, and you're in the right environment, and you do have the funds to afford it. Could we have an all-female team? Sure. If I can find a millionaire where all of us can live in the same house together, you know what I'm saying, with our families, and create the right environment, and then teach the psychology. Like if a guy's going to yell at you, because trust me, I know you guys smack talk as you're walking off the fields, right? And so it can be very intimidating, and some girls aren't really used to that yet.
Sure.
Yeah.
However, when you see girls go up against girls, boy, that can get super ugly too, because they feel like they have more to prove. And I know of girls that don't like playing with girls. They don't even like playing against girls. And you'll even hear come out of their mouths like, if we don't beat these girls, I'm going to be mad. You know, I'm like, you're a girl, you know? Can you say that?
I love it.
We're supposed to support all women, you know? But, and again, and kind of going off of that, you know, I don't support all women, because if you're a murderer or shiesty whatevers, I'm not going to support you, you know? And so that's the other thing. Like, I will only support women that are already empowered and doing the right thing.
Sure.
And so then you nurture that. But and so a lot of the leadership on some of these Destiny teams are led by women. And I'm hoping that eventually as a society, or not like, is it not Starship Troopers? It was the one where the big insects come out and you see the girls fighting in the front line. It's a very futuristic style movie where
It sounds
the guy,
awesome.
is it Troopers? Starship Troopers, I think, is the name of the movie. But yeah,
Sounds amazing.
it is, and it's kind of a comedy, kind of dark comedy, and the guys don't even care that the girls are in the shower with them showering. Like eventually, we hope that the world will get to that point where it's no big deal. Let the girl run in the front line, and I think the fear is that the guy's like, I need to take care of the girl though, don't die, you know, and then they take the focus off of the objective. And they're worried too much about the other girl that's
interesting.
Running alongside him. So we're still fighting through that. And I think in Europe too, that's probably what happened within the politics of it all, you know, and so as long as we can continue on this forward progression, I think eventually I think maybe 5 years, you know, we will see a female playing in the pro division and staying there.
Yes.
I think it's consistent. Yeah, I think it's possible. There's definitely some good females that have been on my radar. They play for the Women's Team USA squad.
Right.
There's quite a few of them. Yeah,
that's right.
You're right. It is tough because there's such a deeply rooted evolutionary psychology that's going on with the male female dynamic, you know, and
it's coded in your DNA.
It truly is.
And again, I sometimes catch myself being too protective of even my own daughter.
Sure.
You know, and she's playing on Xbox, playing Call of Duty and talking to strangers and cussing just like her dad. Sorry, I'm a bad parent. But
that's real life. That is real life.
Yeah.
Real life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we can't run from real life. That's what we can't do.
Well, yeah. And I think there's a lot of Papa Bears out there. And so if you do have a girl, say, have a confrontation on the pro field and they end up getting in a fight with another guy, those guys are going to be more fired up, right? Because
like even me DNA, in my brain, when I was thinking of having like a girl on Dynasty and she's my teammate, if anybody mess with her, you're getting rocked. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like automatically my defense kind of goes up, and I'm like, you know,
you don't think she can protect herself, Ty?
Well, I don't want her to even have to deal with that. You know what I'm saying?
Again, I'm just saying completely innocent. It's so innocent, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Trust me, Mike Paxson, don't hold the door open for me.
Yeah.
You don't do none of that.
You know? Yeah.
Thank you, Mike, because you made me stronger, you know?
That's funny.
But yeah, and then some of the girls too, like I used to have a girl on the team that would be like, what's it feel like to get beat by a girl? And I'm like, don't say that. Don't say that. That's just terrible. Like you're just ruining it for the rest of us. Like, don't say that.
Seriously.
For sure. Yeah.
So in due time, I think
this girl, I'm telling you, this girl, you don't know who I'm talking about. You never got to see this girl play.
I don't think so.
Olsen.
Is she's not from America, you said?
No. She's from Prague. She's or from Czech Republic, somewhere.
I think I saw a video and I was like super excited and happy to hear that she was in there, but then I didn't hear much more after that.
Fantastic player. Deserved to be. She could come over to the US and play pro paintball, in my opinion.
Well,
I really believe that.
One of the things that we're doing under the Destiny umbrella is we have this Lady Destiny concept. It's like hashtag Lady Destiny, and it's beyond just any girl being part of the Destiny team. I'm even trying to just recruit girls just to showcase how talented these girls are. And then as soon as we get the open gate to go overseas and represent American female paintball, that's where I feel like we can do a really good job as an all-female line, as a showcasing kind of opportunity to bridge and meet new people, to just kind of see how. That's what, you know, Anthony Vitale and them and Lori Miller are doing with the USA women's stuff.
Right.
That's why I fully support that 100%. But getting back to like Tom Cole, and the reason why I was like, I don't really want a ladies division is because a lot of those girls already just want to play. But it's also, you know, it was awesome when Destiny, we put 2 3-man teams in the ladies division, and we came in first and second.
Nice.
And the girls that beat us, it was me, Rachel Shadell. Rachel used to be chemo. She used to play pro.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she was playing with me. Then I had Michaela Wilkins. I had Caitlin Woodward and Allie Balmores. And we have like 20 years on these girls. If you add it all together, probably 50 years on these girls.
Yeah.
But the girls that beat us have only been playing for an average of 2 to 3 years.
Whoa.
And had we won, we would have been like, cool, we won, yay. You know, like, sweet, give me the trophy and the ring and whatever.
Yeah.
Those girls were crying.
Oh.
They were so excited and so happy that they had won the ladies division. And I was super proud of them too, because I mean, come on, they're running as Destiny, right?
Yes.
this is the dream for me to see that happen. And so for younger girls to be able to come in and do that so quickly and be experienced players, not just female players, but just players, that was so important for them. And so now that's given them so much inspiration to continue on that path. We had a girl also guesting with us, Daniela Rojas from Colombia. She plays on Medusa. And she's like 15 years old, never has won, I don't think, an NXL event ever. And there she won a World Cup NXL.
That's amazing.
Right?
That's
good
amazing.
for her. Bravo.
Yay!
Bravo.
So it's just like, again, like
I love
creating these opportunities is what I'm trying to create through Destiny, and have this platform for us to also tell stories and even become our own media, you know, and that's why, you know, again, for teams, create the content, tell the stories. You know, we have a couple of twins playing on our 10-man team. Tell the story about what's it like playing on the snake side when the guy says, I just shot that guy. Oh, wait, it's his twin brother. He's still alive. You know, so it's like telling those stories, I think, are really important, you know, for these teams to really figure out, you know, set yourselves apart and go outside the box.
I think by doing that, you're going to have these girls just had the time of their life playing that tournament. So that's infectious. They're going to tell 20 of their girlfriends. They're going to be like, oh my God, you guys got to try this. Come play some paintball. And then we can get that ball rolling and get tons of women playing paintball.
Right. And that's where Tom Cole, I think, was just in essence doing. Like, he wanted to showcase the girls because it is pretty cool, because it's so unusual. You're like a diamond in the rough, stand out like a sore thumb kind of thing. And so when you see little girls, like literally 4'3", right? So hard to shoot, and who wouldn't want them on their team, right? So, and the other thing that I'll usually have many men come up to me and say, hey, I got a girl for you. And we're playing like D3, right? This is back a couple years ago. And they're like, we got a girl for you. I'm like, really? How long has she been playing? Oh, just a couple of months. I'm like, okay, you do know we play D3. Yeah. So just because we're a girl team,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's where it gets a little frustrating. But
because you guys are playing good paintball. Don't let it be misunderstood. You know how to play the game. You guys understand the layers of the game and how to communicate. And the cool thing about paintball is it translates off the field too, right? All these things that we do on the field, they help us in our normal life immensely with communication, awareness, being able to connect well, and, you know, have a good cadence and rhythm with people. It's a gift to be able to have this game of paintball, because it teaches you so much about life too.
It totally does. And you guys know Todd Martinez better than I do, but I'll never forget
Cash Money.
But Todd Martinez was actually very shy, I think, in middle school and high school. I think I remember he was telling me the story. This is like 10, 15 years ago. And he was like, paintball helped me come out of my shell. And so you'd see him doing the short bus videos, and how hilarious he is, and how awesome he is at commentating. And he's just so funny. Aruba Open 2001, I think 9/11 just happened. I still feel my cheeks and the water in my mouth, how funny he was, just making fun of different paintball characters. And
he's the funniest guy of all time.
And so paintball brought that out. And I think that's, again, where paintball is so important, because you can put the mask on and feel like you're somebody else, like the Mandalorian dude. Yeah. And you can just go wreck stuff up and just be a totally different persona.
I actually just posted a short bus video on my Instagram recently of me double gunning out of the back middle with 2 guns. The funny thing, Dynasty, Alex Frazier was the one. He was like, Tyler, go out there with 2 guns. And I was like, okay, I'm going for it.
The instigator.
Yeah. And then the whole Dynasty squad was watching. This was when I was on Oakland Assassins. I busted out with 2 guns, and he had that on the short bus, and they were laughing it up and chumming it up on that. It was so funny.
Oh man. Yeah. I was always, please God, don't let me be on that. Please God. Don't let me. I don't want to get made fun of. I don't do it.
It was funny. It was hilarious. The refs, they actually tried to suspend me from the tournament, but there was no rule in the rule books for playing with 2 guns. So I made them make a new rule, which was pretty cool. The NXL
that is pretty cool.
Wasn't that in the All-Star game?
No, that was just a regular match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was at the end of the game.
I
and
could see a
was like,
suspension. I could see that. I could see that.
For sure.
Yeah,
Well,
I thought it
'cause
was
here's
the
the thing.
All-Star game. I thought for sure that was the All-Star game.
It was just a normal game. And then
Oh.
so I walk out with 2 guns, right? I'm walking out there with 2 guns. The ref's like, "What are you doing, Tyler?" I was like, "I'm going with 2 guns." He's like, "No, you're not." You know? And I was like, "Okay." I put the gun down by the start gate, and then right when it went 3, 2, I went boom, grabbed it, and then took off. So the
my
ref was
gosh.
chasing me down the field like, "Tyler, no, no, no."
You should have put 2 big Pinocchios on each one of them too off the break.
I needed that. That was
That's
a timeless memory there. Sorry, we got a little off track, but yeah, cash money and how paintball, it breaks us out of our shell. It makes us just become better people, I think.
All right, and then it also makes you think differently by bringing 2 markers out of the field. Who thinks of that? That's amazing.
Yeah, I did.
I feel like it also builds a lot of character because more times than not you lose. More times than not you don't get what you worked for.
Man.
More times than not your flaws are exposed, you know, and you have to learn how to deal with that with the people around you. You know, you can't just throw your hands up and quit. It's very tough in a lot of ways. And so it really does build character, you know, and it builds strength.
That is endurance for sure.
Yeah.
You have to endure through some of that and you're not always going to win. And so if you're still around and you push through it and then all of a sudden now it's win after win after win, like that to me is a huge testimony, and paintball does do that for people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It feels so good when you like lose a lot and then you start getting those wins too. You're like, okay, we're learning, we're doing this, we're starting to get the rhythm now. You know?
Right, it's fuel to the fire. And again, it's like in any organization, even with our own, you know, whenever I have something that becomes a disappointment and I feel guilty that, damn it, you know, I didn't do such a good job with that, or, you know, the structure isn't perfect. And so I don't say, F it, I'm just going to give up, like, forget it, I'm going to quit paintball, I suck, bye-bye. You shouldn't let that happen. I think you should push through that, take it as a learning lesson, and then just make it better, you know? And again, I think that speaks volumes even in just your regular lives, you know, in any industry that you're doing, even in fitness, you know, like, so what, you're kind of chubby right now, but if you keep pushing through it, you're going to be okay at the end, you know, you'll be healthy. So,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and
paintball is such a good, it is the community. And again, that's what Destiny is all about. I love the fact that, like, Anthony Vital is a good story. I remember being stuck at an airport with my daughter, who was probably 6 at the time. And I called, or I think I made a post like, hey, I'm stranded at Boston airport. And this is even before we did all the USA stuff together. And somebody reached out and said, hey, Anthony Vital is going to be driving over to pick you guys up. And he gave us a place to stay. Like, I didn't really know who Anthony was very well, but again, it
Anthony's
was because
the
of the paintball community. Right.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
One of the most genuine guys in the paintball industry. We actually get to see him pretty soon here. They're coming out to the Arizona Combine with G2 Paintball. We're doing that in a couple weeks. So we'll see Anthony soon.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's so smart, and he always tries to do the right thing, even though he kind of is in the good old boy networking system. He still always tries to remember, like, Tim Montresor. I'll tell you a story about the USA women's stuff. Tim Montresor asked me, he's like, hey, Laurent wants me to, Laurent's with Sup Air. I think he also owns Spaceful and maybe the Millennium Series. I don't know how that works. But anyway, he actually said, hey, Tim, what do you know who can bring women to our thing and USA team, right? So I'm like, okay, thank you, Tim, for calling on me to do that. So we started to build it. I didn't want to just go there willy-nilly and not be prepared. So we created a line. We went to Panama City. We played against other South American women's teams, and we won very decisively. And I was real quick, happy about that.
B, this is only a couple years ago, right? This was like 2017?
2000, I want to say it's 18.
Okay.
It was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Kat Secor was on there, Katie Kelly, Andrea Martinez, Monica Lopez, Caitlin Woodward, myself, Nicole Episcopo. And so Jess Mayolo was on there too. Okay. And so at any rate, these girls, we did such an outstanding job, but nobody hated us. There were people actually cheering for us. And we're not in America, guys. We were in Panama City. That's awesome. And it was so welcoming, and we had the best time ever. And again, doing a USA versus, you know, in the European Paintball Federation and doing that, it's all about bridging gaps and creating these relationships and understanding, like, oh, maybe you can teach me something that we aren't already doing, because there is a difference in every region. Absolutely. And so I was having a tough time not feeling like I had bias because I was picking the girls.
Mhm.
But I called Anthony. I said, hey, you're doing the BKI stuff anyway. You got like 8 or 9 pros watching people play. Why don't you watch some girls and see if what you think should be the USA roster?
Yeah.
And then that came into fruition. And so at first, Anthony didn't want to do it. He's like, I don't know, B. I don't know if I want to take that on. But then after he talked it over with Lori and the rest of you guys, I think he spoke to you and Ryan and all that. And they were like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Yep.
And so now look at what it is. And so he always tries to bring me in. Like, he's like, hey, B, what do you think of this idea?
How could he not?
I know, like,
come on.
He's super respectful in that in that way. Whereas sometimes we don't necessarily see that all the time. You know, we'll see people steal ideas and run with it and, you know, go run away. But so Tim Montresor, thank you. Anthony Vitale, you're the best. Lori Miller, you're amazing.
Yes, they are.
And that's what it should be about, is kind of bringing people together to do these collaborative ideas and in the inclusion, you know. And so through Destiny, we also collaborate with Hitmen. Remember Sonny Lopez with the LA Hitmen?
Indeed. Yeah,
we have a lot of their players still coming and they still romp the Hitmen's gear, even though Sonny's kind of doing something else in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
And then Ali Remembered Foundation is another one that we've partnered with to help just raise awareness for their sake. And I was looking to become a 501c3. And he's like, well, why don't you just come over here and maybe there's something we can do as a facet of the Ali Remember Foundation, and Destiny helps us with our objective. Wow. And so I'm just trying to create something a little bit different. And thank God I'm
sorry, you said 501c?
501c3 is a nonprofit organization.
Okay. And so where can everybody go and look into the Ali Remembered Foundation?
I believe it is aliremembered.com. Let me see if it pulls up. But yeah, you could go there. And what he's doing is he's adopting teams too. And he's just trying to remember his daughter who was murdered by her boyfriend, and tragically, and he's still going through the court system.
And her name was Allie, and that's why he created this foundation, is to give people a place to go that are dealing with domestic violence. Problems, and bring awareness to that.
So if you go to allyremembered.org, O-R-G, you can read about the story there and the reason why. And Andrew Starrett, he's her dad, and he's been a part of paintball way back in the day. Board members include Bud Orr, Dan Colby. They just added me onto their board, and I believe in their objective. And you know, I don't want nobody to use violence as a means to kind of get their way. And for this organization, they're really making an impact and just trying to help improve people's behaviors. You know,
you gotta love that.
Yeah, and creating the right etiquette, especially when, you know, it's a testosterone thing. You know, if you have too much testosterone, whether you're male or female, sometimes your anger gets away from you. And so that's some of the things that we're just trying to do something positive here, guys, because stereotype with paintball is that it's violent. Well, you're shooting people with a gun. You know, my own uncle got so disappointed in me because I was a paintball participant, he was like, "How could you play such a violent sport?" And I'm like, Uncle Dan, okay, I forgive you.
It's so mind blowing to me, but Call of Duty's okay.
Yes, exactly.
Come on. That argument is old. It's tired and it's lazy.
Exactly.
It really is. It's lazy.
Get out of here.
It's lazy. If anything, I'm sure there's evidence to this. If anything, it promotes less violence because you go and get to have some sort of release. You get to play an aggressive sport by nature, but it's not physically harming to anybody else, you know? And it's,
it's such a stress reliever too.
It's one of the great stress reliever.
One of the safest games there is.
And you do team building. Again, you have to build relationships. You have to work with people. It's such a great sport to help with personal development, you know? So we could talk about that for probably
and that doesn't
but
that doesn't mean there's not going to be some wild people. They're everywhere. You know, you go walking down the street, I see 10 wild people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you might
run into Chris Asoya.
I know. Oh, Atlanta, do you remember when he ran down the middle? Why did he do that though?
We talked about this a couple days ago.
Shot him in the back of the neck.
His
You
name...
couldn't shoot him in the pack, Chris. You're so mean, you know.
So he remembered. He said the guy's name was, I believe it was Mark something. I forget.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, Tyler, but
I can't.
He said that the guy had been cheating him the whole match.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing. And he was like, you know, I knew I was going to get a gross major. I was going to have to sit the rest of the game. We were going to win the match anyway. It was freezing cold. I didn't want to play anymore. So I raised up, shot him in the back of the head.
How do people do that though? I can't do that. Like I always aim for like the gut sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like
well, not everybody is Chris Lasoya.
I know.
You know that's,
yeah. You know,
Mike does that too, and he'll be like aim for the neck. I'm like, so rude. Like
it's really funny because I understand that philosophy, right? If you bunker somebody, you want to make them feel it so that they're afraid to come back and attack.
Correct.
You want to make them, but it's so funny because when I played with the Russians, there was a really interesting philosophy that I picked up from Malloy. He would bunker people and shoot them once in the pack, and I was, why do you do that? And he was like, because they're likely to spin and get a penalty.
I was just going to say it.
They don't feel it. They don't really think they're hit. They spin. And I was like, that's brilliant. You're 100% right.
Brilliant. That's
so
smart.
And like, okay, maybe you're not getting in their head as a penalty sure gets in their head.
Oh yeah.
You know? And so I've used that quite a bit and it works. It truly does.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go by and I'll shoot someone in a spot where, you know, and just once too, I don't overshoot them. And so they often will spin and you get the penalty because I'm ready for it already. So I'm already telling the ref penalty, you know, they see the whole thing go down. And it is, you know, sometimes you have to shoot them where it hurts. And you know, there's certain players, you got to also know who you're playing against and what gets them going. You overshoot somebody. I know if you overshoot me, it's going to make me play better. It should, because I'm not going to get flustered. I'm going to now have a little reason to come back and shoot you, you know, and some players are like that. If you overshoot Tyler, you better not go to his side of the field the next point. You know, so there's a whole game going on, but I thought that was interesting when I played with the Russians to hear that side of it. It's the total opposite of shooting someone a bunch in the neck.
And that's the beauty again of being able to play with a team that comes from a totally different part of the world. Yeah. And again, you bridged a gap and you learned something from that. But tell me about how to improve reffing. I'm curious. Have you guys ever talked about that with anybody about?
That's a great subject.
I can go into pretty lengthy detail about this, but the short answer is they would just need to get paid more, to be honest, because you need refs that are committed more. I think the refs are better than they've ever been, but there's still a ton of mistakes. Great these days. Yeah. There's still so many mistakes. It's a hard sport to ref first and foremost. So maybe a few extra refs would be beneficial. I noticed they used to have refs in the NXL that would lay down, you know, maybe like 20 yards towards the Dorito side up a little bit so they could see on the breakout, they see when you're running out to a corner, the inside of your body, where lately I haven't seen that. A lot of the refs are like standing along the sidelines and they might have one or two refs in the middle, but some places are not covered. Right. So I think adding a few refs, being able to pay them a little bit more so that refs were held accountable. Like if there were more refs, then when a ref makes a mistake, you could easily go and review, right? And say, hey, you've made like 4 mistakes in the last little bit here. It's time for a new ref to come up from the Division I field or whatever it might be. We don't have that because there's not enough people that want to be a ref because it's not that lucrative. It's not, you know, in the NBA, a ref can go and make a 6-figure salary. So there's a ton of people that want to be referees. If there's not enough people that want to be referees, then of course you're not going to have good ones. It's actually a lot like the issue with police. You know, there's not enough people that want to be great police. So sometimes you do end up with people that slip through the system and, you know, a department needs to hire police. They need to hire 100. They only have 80 really good ones. And so, you know, 20 are not the greatest maybe.
You know, I made a post one time because we had a situation that happened here in Montana where we went to a 3-man open event and they were complaining about Mike Paxson being on our team. And the guy was super upset at some of the reffing calls. And so it got super dumb and ugly. And it's like, of course, people are always going to try to push that gray line. But then I made a post and said, what if we had paintball apparel that had a censoring system in it? And so when you did get shot, and the computers are so smart now where they
your
can
gun
say,
turns
okay,
off.
Yes, turns off.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally.
snap. I can't overshoot somebody now, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, unfortunately, we probably lose some reffing jobs, you know, and so that economy would disappear. But at the same time, then you don't really have somebody to yell at. now.
Yeah.
You know, the other thought that Mike shared one time when we were talking about this topic is, what if we just didn't have any refs and we just let everybody just hurt each other to the point where it's like, okay, that hurts, I'm going to get out now, you know?
Oh, whoa.
And made people run off the field. Like, don't walk off
Whoa.
the field because I'm going to still keep shooting. As you're walking.
That's such a Mike idea right there.
That is so Mike Paxson, right? And
That
I'm like,
sounds
that's
like
a
a
great
brutal
idea.
style. That's a brutal
Now
style.
we're becoming violent, Michael.
Right? Yeah.
We're
So
trying to
Mike-
break that stereotype.
Mike's a wild man. That boy,
But
wild
in fencing,
man. Your husband,
he's wild.
is
I know. I don't know how we got connected. It's by the glory of God. But it's the fencing industry, the sport of fencing in the Olympics. They actually have a sensory system.
Right.
And so I'm like,
that's right.
we're in 2021 now, guys. Like, we were supposed to have hoverboards already. The Back to the Future said so. Okay, it was supposed to happen in 2015. Okay.
Yeah.
So-
I got to ask though, because I've heard of that idea, and I think I've actually talked about that idea, because it would be great. But how would you decipher the difference? Because in paintball, unlike fencing, in paintball, there's so many points of contact because you're sliding, you're diving. You know, so how do we have the technology to decipher the difference there? I don't know.
Well, I think so, because of the impact, you know, falling on your shoulder, I think is different than the actual, I don't know. Again, you'd have to ask a super nerd that's super smart.
Or maybe
at that kind of stuff.
We could put, like, moving into the future, like this is like 2030 paintball. They have little chips. It wouldn't cost them anything. These things are, you know, a fraction of a penny. And you put them in each one of the paintballs, and then you have something where the chip hits the thing and then it lights it up or something.
Yeah,
you know?
like in the movie, is it Big, or the little nano things? And,
little tiny chip in the paintball, and then it hits.
I got it. We put a chip into your body, and it senses when your mind reacts to a shot.
There we go.
All right.
Boom.
We
did it. Look. In all honesty,
went there.
Yeah, there we go. In all honesty, I love having refs. I really do. I think it's part of sports. And I think they do a good job. I think that, again, it's just the long game. If there were more people that wanted to be refs on the pro field would be held more accountable. So you would get the best of the best. That's just how it goes. That's kind of free market.
Or maybe even find one of the ultimate refs at each field that really has conviction, you know, and really does try to do the right thing. And you have to train them as such. It's like lawyers when they have to go get their bar test and they have a certain code, or doctors have a certain code. And we train this and we instill this in that reffing realm.
Right.
You know, make it like
ethics, a code of ethics in the way that they do things. Yeah. 100%.
Right. And and it is about payment too. I think we're not paying them enough.
Yeah.
It's everything, you know, it's everything. It's
better hotel rooms, probably better food, you know, like there's all kinds, but it's, again, how expensive is that going to be?
Exactly. Right. Might not be realistic right now to put money into that. Unfortunately, I wish it was. Again, they uphold the integrity of our game. So it's very important. One of the worst things is, down in divisional paintball, you have these divisional teams that pay $5,000 for entry and travel and hotel, all that stuff. They go to this event and truly get hosed on a really bad call. I'm not saying it's intentional. I'm saying reffing paintball is really hard and bad calls are made all the time. I personally, as a professional player, have reffed and missed calls. And I was like, oh my God, this isn't for me. This is hard. So they go and they have all those weekends that they spent money on practice and travel and time away from their families. And then they come to this event and they're in a game that means everything. You either make Sunday or you don't, and you're in overtime and you get a really bad call. That leaves the worst taste in these teams' mouth. They never want to play that league again. Typically they come back. They leave saying, I'm never coming back. And they're usually back, but still it's not great. Right. So ideally we would have better referees all across the board. I just,
and the winning teams are always like, we love the refs.
Yeah.
Thank you, refs. Great job.
Of course. It's a tough job. It's a really tough job.
Really
and you know what? Actually, Bea, we've been meaning to do this. We're going to get some referees on the show for sure, because that's an interesting perspective. And I guarantee you they have ideas of how they could do better. Right.
Yeah. I just talked to Anthony Martin. He's from England.
There we go.
That guy. He's probably shout out to Anthony Martin.
Shout out
Yeah.
to England real quick. But we
Yes.
have some listeners from the UK that after listening to Chris's podcast, they're like, dude, the UK is not that bad. We got good food.
No, yeah.
And look,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a major shout out to the CPPS league out there.
Yes.
Ainsley does a phenomenal job. Much love to everybody out there. Really, so much of England. Fantastic.
And Europe
They've
as a
got-
whole. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I love their accents.
They have.
Hello.
It's very proper.
Hello,
it's very
Shelley
proper.
Farmer.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Shelly. That's your female over the
Shelly.
pond.
She
She's still
played
playing.
for us.
Yeah.
Yep, she's still playing, and she does commentary out there too. And
Yes.
and she
yeah.
did guest with Destiny at one of our World Cup events and played X-Ball with us.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
I'm
that's
the
what it's
biggest
all about.
Destiny fan. Huge. I love Destiny. Let's go
Yay!
Destiny. So
Yeah.
you've obviously heard about the NXL updates for 2021. What are your thoughts on everything?
I like to see that there's change because finally, like for 20 plus years now, we've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. I do like the many divisions. I'm not really sure if you guys know, are they going to keep the 10-man and the mounds and the 3-mans and the pump, or are they going to make a change in that too?
I believe that they will be keeping all the
All of it.
same. Yeah.
Perfect.
It'll just be, they're going to have the 4 majors, right? And they should
Correct.
have
And the
those.
2
Yeah. And then they'll have the
amateurs.
2. Yeah. It's like an
Minors.
amateur open.
Minors.
Yeah. Type thing. So they
Yeah.
should have the same divisions. Yeah.
I think it's great. And I even had somebody ask me, well, they're going to still have D5 division. And I think that's true. I think they're going to still do that. Why wouldn't they? Especially in this environment when we need to pick up on the economy again.
Yeah. That's right.
But we do need to showcase the pros a little bit more. And then having a Super Cup is a brilliant idea. It's going to be difficult to kind of get to that. I mean, come on, football and baseball are traditional sports that have been around for a long time. And they also have $1 million advertisement deals and a lot of money that's being dumped into their leagues. Obviously, if we can make the story, I think Maddie Marshall said it, where if we're telling these stories that are good enough to hear by these bigger companies that want to invest in the industry, I think eventually it'll get there. We just need to stay positive and focused on that.
That's
but
right.
But for Destiny too, they're excited. Yes, stay together. And then even them, I think they chose Florida twice because it's an open state, especially with the whole COVID thing. So it makes it easier, and they already have relationships down there, so it makes it kind of easier to figure out from a behind the scenes standpoint.
To all of the listeners, real quick, B, to all of the listeners and people that I see online that have been hating on the NXL, Florida twice, or, we want new locations and you decide to go to the same place.
Yeah.
Have you looked outside? Have you turned on the news? Do you realize what's going on?
know, right?
The league is trying to make sure we can have some kind of event. Stop hating on that stuff.
Otherwise,
guys. Come on,
you
it's
do
crazy.
it.
Yeah,
Make your
it's
own
crazy.
league.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, because the world is, it's not.
Try
the
coming to
same.
California. Try it.
Oh,
I dare
I
you.
know.
I wouldn't set up an event in California. No
I
way.
was supposed to go. I actually have a booked flight still for January 22nd. PBSL is doing an event at SC Village where it's
Awesome.
It's a 4-on-4, but there's couples that are like one man, one woman, or whatever, and then you mix in with another couple and you play 4-on-4.
That's
awesome.
Encouraging more girls to play.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's go. I want to see more girls play too.
Yeah.
So I was there.
You
was bringing my pump,
sandbaggers.
my CCM pump. I was bringing Rachel Shadell in. We're like, we're going to screw people, right? She was going to be my partner. Like, but I have to have eye surgery because I got the cataracts. It's so bad, guys.
No.
Yeah, I'm 47 years old and they tell me I have the cataracts.
The
And I'm
cataracts.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
So
well,
when are
you're
you
gonna
having
get- it's gonna go get
surgery?
taken care of.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to see better. So I'll be able to
When is
see.
your surgery?
It's this 27th and I have to quarantine.
Oh wow.
So unfortunately, I probably could have lied and be like, I'm back.
Yeah.
Nope, I never went. I didn't go anywhere. But
Mhm.
say I did bring back the COVID, go under the knife and die.
Oh,
that
yeah.
would be super bad.
Yes. Yeah, we do
especially
not
for
want
Mike,
that.
'cause
Okay,
he's gotta
well,
take care of the kids.
Yeah. Well, we're sending you all of our love, and hopefully that surgery goes well, and
Thank you.
then you're gonna be able to see better. That's awesome.
I'm gonna be able to see
Oh.
better. But it's like you said, Marcelo, like California, man, it's
Yeah.
a little scary too with all the
Yeah.
situations with the hospitals being overflowing. With
Absolutely.
people
Yeah.
That have the COVID.
And the moral is, let's be grateful for what we have. Like we have these
Amen. Right.
couple events that we're being so fortunate to have, because like Marcelo said, if you looked outside, it's pretty wild right now.
It
And
is.
the fact that we can play some paintball, let's really support that, and let's
And
enjoy
Vegas
that.
isn't going away. And from what I
Exactly.
understand, what Tom said is that it's just this year.
Right.
And
Yeah.
as the, as there's clearance in the skies and everybody's healthy again,
Yeah.
obviously they're going to go back to Vegas.
Right.
That's a
Of course.
given.
It's a great
Why
venue,
wouldn't you?
especially that time of the year,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great event. And I want to talk to you. So you guys have Destiny Media as well. You said something about that?
Yeah. And so again, that's another thing that, again, I want to try to bring to our sponsors, and so pushing their product or sharing stuff, and then telling the stories too. I think it's important that a lot of these kids that are coming to Destiny, they know that they're not going to go pro someday, but they feel like they have a story to tell. Even some guys that are coming back that play on Destiny Fire, they're from the Northeast. They're older generation ballers in their 40s that are coming back to play, and they have a story that they want to tell too. So I'm like, okay, well, this would be a great opportunity for all of us to go the extra mile and tell the stories and create more content, because that's the way of the world now. You have to have the content in order to feel like you're relevant. And so one way for those of you that feel like, I'm never going to go pro because, I have to have another ACL surgery and I'm 47 years old and, I'm not going to make it to that dream. You can still kind of live the dream. If you have a cool story to tell. You never know if it's going to go viral or not.
That's right.
So
Very
yeah, in that respect, that's something that we're trying to do. And because of my background as a writer, and I even did photography and some videography, I have some editing background. I feel like that would be a cool way to kind of teach that, right? And say, okay, I'm going to film you, and this is what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, and teach people even how to be reporters, so to speak, for paintball.
That's so rad.
Yeah. So that's kind of some of the stuff that we're
cool.
looking at, trying to just encourage and teach.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it really should be about what things are you teaching people to kind of expand and allow them to broaden their horizon.
We got to give it away.
Give
You
it
know what I mean?
away. Give it away. Yep.
That's how it comes
I think
full circle.
that's a big thing. I understand the need for Go Sports to make money. They put on an amazing show. Bills have to get paid. That stuff's not free. Somebody has to pay for it.
It isn't cheap, right?
But I think we could do both. You give the prelims away, maybe even the first round on Sunday.
Little teaser.
And the later games on Sunday are behind the paywall. I think you would get so many more people that actually pay, because now they're invested. Everyone wants to watch paintball that plays, really, like, they're going to enjoy it. They watch all the games and they're like, damn it, these stories are great. I have to see who's going to win. Like Impact, lost that last game in the semifinals against the Russians, or like whatever it is. Then maybe they pay. They're willing because they're invested,
Totally.
Rather than putting everything behind a paywall, we're just not big enough. We need to give this kind of content away so we can get people that maybe you're kind of interested, but not enough to pull out their credit card. You got to show them, got to make them get interested.
Absolutely. And like you said, everything costs money, and some of the
of course.
ways that they edit is just incredible. It really does suck you in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very viable. I think it's definitely rings true in the fact that, you're curious as to what the conclusion is going to be.
Totally.
So you're going to pay for that subscription or whatever
Absolutely.
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have to. Yeah. I'd be like, what? No, I can't stop watching.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Watching a bunch of free games. Now I'm hooked. And I'm like, okay, fine. Take my $10, $20, whatever it is. I want to see the rest of this tournament.
Right.
That's right.
I remember a while too, off on a tangent about monetary things, is I remember Nikki Cuba got really upset with Mike and I because we were doing clinics for a lesser price. Like they had a certain price that they were charging, and that looked like we were trying to undercut them. But in actuality, we were going to like very small paintball fields that didn't have a lot of money, but they were inviting us to come. And so we wanted to make it more cost effective. And so in that respect, we try to do that for them. But it brought me to think about an idea for some of our divisional teams, is to have clinics from our divisional, just our D4s and D3 players, teaching paintball to our local fields, just for the walk-ons. Make it simplistic, like here's how you stay in your safe zone, like super, fundamental. And then they go to the BKI program after that, because now they're like, we want more. So now we're going to pay the big dollar, right? Same concept that Marcelo just said, like give them a little bit, get them to really be interested and make sure that they actually are interested in it. and then they'll pay the money because they're making it a very important investment.
Well,
you know, so
you just touched on something so important, B. Actually, and we've talked about it before on the show. We talked about this with Dave Cheney, marketing guru, worked for Under Armour. Are you familiar with Dave Cheney, B?
Yes. Yeah.
But that's exactly right. We have a ton of people that are playing paintball. Paintball fields across the U.S. are doing fantastic, especially now. But a lot of it's birthday parties, the walk-on side. They're doing those kind of things. We don't really have a good system in place that grabs those players that maybe play once or twice a year and really shows them the way to the tournament side, or maybe even just more of a competitive player, maybe not even tournaments, right? Someone who wants to come to the field all the time, every weekend, because they don't even know that professional paintball is a thing. So having teams like divisional teams at the grassroots level at your local field doing that kind of stuff could be huge for the growth of tournament paintball. That could be tremendous.
And to add on to that, these divisional players that are kind of popular, like you probably know who Matty Boy is. I just discovered him recently.
Right.
Did a little studying about even who Quake was and all that good stuff. And I was like, wow, that kid really presents such a great story. And and so you could even go further with that and have somebody like him. I think he's D4, and they can have these children busing as a field trip from the schools to go to said paintball field and teach them about, hey guys, this is how you can come out of your shell. That's kind of like the human development, like, you're behind the mask and it empowers you and makes you feel stronger. And then showcase these divisional, excellent, athletic, amazing paintball players playing 3-on-3s or 5-on-5s or whoever can make said field trip and showcase them at the local field. Now you have spectators all of a sudden busing children, from middle school to kind of sit and be in like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Absolutely.
So
youngsters that see paintball, that's the reaction is, oh my God, this is amazing.
Always. It never fails. And as long as you have a good field, I think Thomas Taylor's doing it. And I think I saw something where Billy Bernaccio was somewhere and they're up high and they actually do have somebody commentating and speaking on a microphone and people watching the games go on. But that would be a perfect environment for something like that. Again, divisional teams, outside the box stuff, if you have a connection with your old school or what have you, or if your mom's a teacher or the superintendent, there's always some sort of way that you can cross market with something, and that to me is very valuable. And I think even like you guys can do that even through like trying to get some like High Tone. You guys just had High Tone on,
Absolutely.
and maybe he knows like some of these musicians and have one big huge event where you're showcasing High Tone playing with his boys, or he's just playing alongside you guys on your team, and bring Be Real back. Hello, I just texted him the other day. I think he wants to come back to play.
Well, tell him to come on the show.
Tell him to come on the show.
I will call him and I'll let him know.
Yes.
But do you remember like things like celebrities like God rest his soul, the Bee Gees guy, what the heck was his name? Maurice Gibbs, and the Royal Rat Rangers, and they would pull up in their RV, and I'll never forget. I almost died and cried. I was like, oh my God, he just said my name. He's like, hello, B.
And William
knows
Shatner.
My name.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
So like trying to do stuff like that where you can encourage celebrity status people. Like Bear
does a great job.
He does an outstanding, I mean, no matter if you love him or you hate him, he does still an outstanding job bringing Justin Bieber to his field.
Absolutely.
To come and play and put a paintball marker in his hand. And that
the amount of celebrities he's brought to his field to expose the game is tremendous.
So good. Tremendous. And so we've gotten away from that. We were doing a lot of that with like Ken Griffey Jr. I did an interview with him at the Wide World of Sports. I was like a giddy, stupid fangirl. And I was like, boy, my brother's going to be so jealous because I got to meet you, And so I forgot even what to ask him because he was just so fascinating to me. But he also, his children play, we've had football players. I think GI Sports did some stuff with some football players, maybe Pev Paintball.
There's a ton of football players that love playing paintball.
Yeah. And so we kind of need to see more of that, as soon as this gate is open and we can do social gatherings again. Maybe have a halftime show where we do see like, gosh, who was at the Huntington Beach? It was a music group that came, very famous, Linkin Park. I think it was Linkin Park that came and they played paintball at
Yeah.
halftime. Right.
Dude,
And
that's
so
crazy.
I don't know whose idea that was. Maybe
Well,
it was Dale Baker.
Dynasty did, like, I think it was Greenspan and I forget who else. A few of them did the Warped Tour thing as well. And I'm pretty sure Linkin Park was on the tour that
I think so.
And Napoli. So I think they made that connection and,
Yes.
and brought him out to the Huntington Beach event.
Yep. Yeah. Even some of these TikTokers and the
Right.
YouTubers and those sensational people, like,
they need to get Jake Paul out to the paintball field. He's calling everyone out. Why don't you step onto the paintball field, big boy?
Hello. Yeah. He's in the boxing ring. So let's see how good you are at paintball. Let's throw a challenge out there.
Oh, I like that. Let's throw that.
Yeah, write that down. Okay.
We're getting him, Jake Paul. Yeah, we're getting him. 100%.
And then like Waka Flocka, I got to play paintball with Waka Flocka and Steve Aoki and Borgore. Me and Brandon Short actually, like, Waka was using my gun. Him and Aoki were running around. That was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Kamara plays.
That is so cool. Well, and like I said, and even just having and making it more of an entertainment. Like, one thing, again, I love the NXL and everything that they're doing. And I think some of what they talked about when Maddie was talking to Tom was that, they're trying to create where they're going to have more viewership, right? And they're referring to the webcasting. But I think we're lacking in the entertainment facet at the actual field. Where you guys can hear the crowd and, all right, let's get fired up, and then I'm not saying have cheerleaders, but you should have some kind of.
But maybe we should have cheerleaders.
Perhaps you should. Exactly. I mean, that's how Tammy and I did it in the baseball league. But again, or have like amazing hip hop dancers that are famous, backup dancers for some of your headliners like J-Lo wearing paintball attire, like the jogger pants and the Dynasty jerseys, doing a halftime show. Or cheerleading is pretty cool though. You're throwing people up in the air wearing paintball apparel, like just things that just make it way more entertaining, that people are going to pay the price to be able to see something like that. And that's why it works for the NFL. When you hire somebody to come and sing, that's a big namer. Part of the reason why some people show up, like the wife's like, no, I'm not really into football, but I like J-Lo,
It's entertainment, right? At the end of the day, sports are entertainment. That's what it is. So, you're competing, paintball's competing with other forms of entertainment. Is somebody going to sit down and watch 3 hours of paintball, or are they going to watch a football game? Well, whatever they end up leaving feeling more entertained by. So that's what we're trying to do here, is create entertainment.
That's right.
At the end of the day.
One thing, again, I have to pat myself on the back, because Chuck Hench, Rodney Squires, and myself, we were all trying to think of, back in 2002, it was, how can we make our compound better than Dye's, right? Because Dye was bringing their amazing, stuff. Yeah. So we created an environment where the customer can come through the tent, see all the product, get to the field and spectate. And then I would play the music, have a 10-second countdown. And I would even try to get a list of all the guys' names, like, hey, what's your name? Okay. And coming onto the field now is yada, yada, yada. All right, game is on in 10. And then we turn the music off. And then Mark Knopp, Chris Lasoya, Avalanche, would go up against Ground Zero. And it was awesome. And the guys loved hearing their names. You guys love hearing your names being announced. You're like, yes. And then hearing the fire come from the audience and hearing that roar, that fuels your fire and makes you even a better athlete. So that's the dream. And I think, again, we kind of need to get back to that a little bit in the NXL and have another announcer, not Matty Marshall, because he's focused on the webcast. Have somebody else come in and get Bear.
No, we're talking to her right now.
Yeah, get me.
Yeah. What are we talking about? Bea, are you up for the job?
I'm up. I'm ready.
Let's do this.
I don't know.
I agree with you. Let's get people in the stands excited. 2019 World Cup was insane. It was insane. I don't know if you remember. I've never seen an event where like the crowd was that loud, and there was just something about the aura there. And I've never seen it before, but if we could recreate that at every event, like that's badass. If people see that on camera, the players on the field, like it's like a real sporting event. It was amazing. And we need someone like you at the helm, because you know all the players, you know everything about the game, you know what you're talking about, but you also know how to get into like the psyche of what gets people excited, and you've done that for such a long time. Yeah,
I appreciated when Camille and Tom had asked me to do the awards, and I would know the teams, and I'd be like, hey, come on up. And then it would be like a veteran team or something. I already knew the guy, and I would tell the story real quick. And then that way they felt comfortable. I'm like, thank you, B. Thank you for mentioning that, because I would never have remembered that. But I think that what they already have in place is very effective. But do the Europeans also have an after party, though, where there's more people waiting around when you guys get your awards? Or is it pretty much the same way that they do it at our side of the world?
It's usually a little better, but the whole European events are just more lively. And I think a lot of that has to do with the NXL's kind of done it, but being able to sell beer at the event, I think there's some venues in the US that you can't,
well, Mike Wybrew with Action Paintball, they always have this award ceremony after the events, and everybody goes. And it's like 7 hours later, everybody shows up at said restaurant. And everybody's there. Kat Secor was in a bikini contest. That was awesome.
The good old bikini contest.
Kat, get that trophy. And so that was the entertainment facet that Mike Wybrew brought to the table. I'm like, man, I wish we could do that. Or even doing something like an after party where we give awards, like, all right, most valuable player is, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, now everybody wants to show up and get their award and wear a tuxedo. You know, the girls dressed up in their
have something like the Grammys or the ESPYs, like we should have that for paintball. Again, what does that do? At the end of the day, what does something like that do?
It gives you an incentive to be even better than you already are.
It does.
Shelley Farmer and them out in Europe, they have an awards where they do that. So I would love to do that. I just need to have 5 clones. So if the signs hurry up and make me a clone, I will be.
It creates superheroes. A young player that's coming up, they see this spectacular show. The athletes, the pros are dressed up. They receive a nice award on, Go Sports, whatever it is. They go, oh, that's legit. I want to do that. That's really cool. That means something.
Correct.
Yeah, like all this kind of stuff plays a role in the future of our sport. And we need to start doing all the stuff these other sports and other industries are doing.
Yep. So as soon as, again, let's all pray that this COVID's going to go away and it's not going to get any worse. I get worried when I hear that there's these different strands.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I hope to God that, even
well, that's by design. Nobody understands what's going on.
It is the longest it's ever taken to. It's something suspicious. But anyway, hopefully, as long as we can all, again,
I'm glad you said it, not me.
Yeah. As long as we can manifest. I sometimes feel like the more thought we put into, see, I'm reading this book.
Yeah, you're not wrong here.
Yeah. As a man thinketh.
That's right.
Get this book. You should have this always. Every time I read it, I read something different. Yeah. But I think some of this stuff we're manifesting. Like we love zombie movies way too much, guys. We need to chill out on the zombies, okay? Because I think we're manifesting it ourselves. But I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. We just believe that it's going to be there. So just keep the faith, have hope that this is all going to get better.
And it will. But thoughts become things. Thoughts become things, right? Yeah. So we have to put the right broadcasts out if we want to broadcast that show. Otherwise, you're going to broadcast zombies,
Yes. So. And you're going to, and then we'll be able to amp up the entertainment facet and we'll amp up, the award ceremonies. And we have time right now. Thank you. Because now we can really figure it out and see if maybe we should do that as a special showcasing event at one of the events where all the pros are going to be at, one of the 4, right? At the NXL is doing. That wouldn't be a bad idea actually at Super Cup and have something like that. Paintball Extravaganza does that with their business guys. They have now these cool pins, like been in the business for 25 years, been in the business for 35 years. And so that recognition, I think, is important, that just people just feel like they need to have something to go for.
For sure. Totally. Yeah, recognition feels good. No matter if it's a pin or a high five or and a little award ceremony, we definitely can build that recognition, build superheroes, and build the industry that way as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
B, I know you've got the family to get back to. I have one more question for you. I'm sure Tyler probably has one before we close, but what advice do you have to up and coming players that are just trying to carve their own path in the sport?
I think the internet is amazing. You can learn so much, again, from just these instructional videos, and try to align yourselves with the right group of people that have the right mindset. One thing that I learned as a rookie player is it's always great to play against people that are better than you. and to never fear like, oh wait, he plays D2, I don't want to play against him. Try to line up quick and get on that box and have that opportunity to play, because you'll learn way more in that one game than you will playing against a bunch of walk-ons. So always try to set yourself up into the right environment. And if you need guidance, don't be afraid to reach out, because you'd be surprised at people like Marcelo and people like Tyler that are going to respond to your message and give you the right direction. BKI program is another one that I believe in. I think you guys are doing an outstanding job just bringing up kids in that respect. I feel like too, like just do your best to just, again, support locally, you know, and reach out even to the divisional teams. I think sometimes I see a little bit of ego that a lot of these D4 teams or D3 teams don't want to talk to anybody else because they're only focused on what they're doing. But I think it's really going to speak volumes, and it's going to bless them more when they do take a minute to reach out to some of the guys that are trying to up and come, because you know what? We were all there.
That's
we
right.
Were all beginners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and so don't be stingy, right? Don't be selfish, and try to be accessible. But yeah, so I encourage that, you know, hopefully these divisional teams and the players that are within those will kind of give these up and coming players, these new beginners, some insight and inspiration, because that's what really the pro scene is all about, being heroic. Yeah. And you could still be heroic in a smaller facet by bringing in some new players that way.
We need that. We need everybody to be giving it away. Give the game away, and it's going to come full circle, and then the game is going to grow like never before if we do that. If we, you know, are sowing the wrong seeds, they're not going to grow properly. So we got to give it all away. And I don't have a question, more just thank you for everything that you've done and for being such a rock star in the industry. And you're, in my opinion, the most prolific woman paintball player ever. So it's an honor to have you on the show and share these amazing stories. And just thank you for everything you do at Destiny and just making this community better. So thanks so much.
It means a lot to me, especially coming from you guys. So like I said, you inspire me. So keep doing what you're doing, and I'll see you soon. Are you guys going to Dallas?
We're coming to your house when the apocalypse happens.
Just come anyway. Just come this summer, and we'll show you all the hiding spots. Yeah, we'll show you where we store the guns, you know. And
That's hilarious.
I love you guys. Thank you so much.
We love you.
To be.
All right.
Thank you,
later.
B. You guys stay safe, okay? Peace. That was a fun one. Thank you so much, B, for coming on the show and sharing all those awesome stories and insights. And thank you for everything that you've done in the paintball landscape and for women's paintball. You are a pioneer in all forms of the word, and we can't thank you enough for everything that you do in the paintball industry. Everybody be sure to go and follow Destiny Paintball on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere that they're doing a lot of cool stuff in the communities. And thank you to everybody out there who continues to tune in and support the Play the Game podcast. We absolutely love you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, all my soul. Absolutely love everybody. Thank you for all the messages and for connecting with us and taking this journey with us. It's all for the culture of the game, and we just love being able to give you all of these cool insights into pro players and just paintball as a whole. So thank you everybody for tuning in. You can support the show by heading over to ptgpodcast.com, and we have all the podcasts there, YouTube show as well. We record everything, some information about our partners, and we also have the PTG store where you can pick up some PTG merch, a little hat, a shirt, coffee mug, some fun things like that. And a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you for taking the time to chip a couple bucks in the bucket and help support us to give you the best show that we possibly can. Be on the lookout. We're doing a lot of huge things in the Patreon landscape coming up. We're going to be having some really cool packages together that you guys can take advantage of. We're obviously doing exclusive content that you can only view through our Patreon page as well. Lots of really insightful tips and tricks into the paintball scene. And also, huge news, HK Army is a part of this as well, and they are allowing us to give you a discount code when you become a Patreon member. So you can take advantage of getting special discounts from our partners, including HK Army, when you become a supporter of our Patreon. You can go to ptgpodcast.com and be a supporter there. Thank you, everybody, for all the support. We love you. If you have any questions or want anything on the show, DM us at the Instagram at Play the Game Podcast. And everybody have fun and keep playing a lot of paintball out there. Peace.